Hope you're having a fantastic morning so far. This is your AFN Open Line. I am Senior Airman Eli Smith speaking this morning with Chief Master Sergeant James Davis, who is the USAFE Command Chief. And once again, Chief, want to say thank you so much for being here this morning, having a great conversation about a lot of different topics that are facing today's airmen, including the new Are You Fit program. Also talking about the new enlisted evaluation system, Step Up, Step In, and the latest changes to the enlisted PME, which is where we want to come back in right now, Chief, because we just were talking about that before that last break, some of the changes to the PME. And we have now another question about enlisted PME in regards to the course 1415. And so we have a Facebook question here. No name on this one either. What would the consequences be for me or someone else in my shop not completing the course 1415?
It's pretty simple. You know, it's required for promotion and it's required for re-enlistment. So if you don't do those, do the things that you're required to do, those are the impacts that will happen to you. And that's basic in anything. You've got to put in the effort. So the bottom line is do your PME, and you can get that done and you can move forward.
It's all about moving forward, obviously. So if this is something that gets you to that next place, just a necessity now that, and it's being made easier by these new changes, and it's being more advantageous to us as airmen by these new changes. So why would we not continue to move forward in our careers? Seems like it makes sense, as you just said. So we're talking about a lot of different topics here. Like you just heard, we are taking your phone calls and your Facebook questions. This is AFN Open Line, and so if you would like to get your phone call in, please dial 489-6353 to ask your question of Chief Master Sergeant James Davis, the USAFE Command Chief. Also, you can go over to Facebook and get your question in that way, as we just heard there, that last question from Facebook. And you can do that by going to AFN Kaiserslautern, the Eagle Morning Show on Facebook, and sending a message there to the page. And I've been watching there. We have a lot of questions to get to. We're going to get to the ones that we can, as many as we can. We have only 15 more minutes here, Chief, but so we want to keep right on rolling. Let's change, though, the subject to Step Up, Step In, because we haven't been able to talk about that in depth yet. So let's move on to that subject. Step Up, Step In. First of all, before I get to, we have someone waiting to ask a question, but before we get to that, I want kind of an overview from your point of view. Everyone's heard of Step Up, Step In by now, I'm sure. But what is, when they do hear that, when they hear the words Step Up, Step In, what do you want them to think? What is your goal with this?
It's simple. Step up to opportunities and step into challenges. That's what we really want people to be able to do. When we talk about step up and take responsibility for your career. Step up and take responsibility for your family. Step up and take responsibility for what's happening in your community. And then step into alcohol-related incidences. Step into sexual assaults. Step in to anything that's happening around you, even on the job itself. If there are mishaps that are about to take place, you have a responsibility to step in.
It is all of our responsibility. And someone wants to know a little bit about Step Up, Step In from your perspective, Chief. So if you don't mind, if you could put those headphones on for me again, we're going to go to the phone line one more time and take a call now from Staff Sergeant Lewis from Spangdahlem is on the line with a question about, nope, I'm sorry. That was the last call. I misread that. Master Sergeant Lombardi from Spangdahlem is now on the phone with us about Step Up, Step In. So let's go to the phones.
Hello, this is Master Sergeant Lombardi from 372 TRS at Spangdahlem. Chief, I was wondering, how do I step in when the person outranks me by a lot?
All right. Thank you, Master Sergeant Lombardi, for that question. So, Chief, obviously something that is on the minds of many people as we go about our daily lives, you know, wherever it may be, the BX at work, wherever you might find yourself in a situation where you see something that's just not quite right. Out socially, you see it, it's not quite right, but that person outranks you by a substantial amount. Right. How do you go about dealing with that situation?
Well, thank you, first of all, Master Sergeant Lombardi, for that, because a lot of times we do see people that outrank us doing things, and we'll say, well, look at that leader, and then we'll go on about our business. But let me use a term that our Secretary of the Air Force used, and that's bold leadership. That's what you have to really use. But you also have to be tactful in your approach and how you do that. And so if you see a senior officer or a senior leader out there doing something that is embarrassing the Air Force or is embarrassing the uniform or the organization, you have a responsibility to step in and to correct that action. Then the next step in that is to let your leadership chain know what took place.
So, it's funny to hear because it seems like when you're talking about dealing with any situation where you're stepping up and stepping in, shouldn't that be the same with whether you're dealing with someone who is the same rank as you or below as well? You should always do that with respect, and you should always step in or step up. There's no question about whether or not to step in, but I think we should always do that with respect, right? Because that just is going to facilitate maybe that situation turning positive.
You're absolutely right, but sometimes there's some hesitancy in doing that because people look at, okay, what are going to be the ramifications of me stepping in, understanding that Chief Davis outranks me, and then I'm going to correct him because he's out at the clubs or he's somewhere embarrassing the uniform. What's going to be the ramifications? But I will tell you, as long as you know that you're doing the right things, don't worry about the ramifications. Just exercise bold leadership. And that's what we're expecting from our senior non-commissioned officers anyway. But anybody that's in uniform, operate with dignity and respect in everything that you do. And that's how you treat people, period. And you're spot on with that.
I think if, we were talking about not completing a course not too long ago, and now we're talking about, the respect issue. It just comes down to something that we all, you've said it before many times, should strive for, especially as airmen. Just be that person that you would want to be around. Be that person that you would want leading you. Be that person, that you would want working for you. And things should be working out just fine if you decide to be that type of airman, that type of person. It seems like what all these questions are coming down to. But let's move on. We have a couple more questions to get to, Chief, if you don't mind. So let's go back to EPRs. That seems to be what everybody wants to talk about this morning is the new EPR system. And so here is a question. What is with the new EPR system? Excuse me here. I got to shuffle through my notes here. So with the new EPR system, having fixed numbers when it comes to how many airmen can get a certain rating. How will the situation be dealt with or compensated for when an airman who is clearly a 5 gets a 4 on their EPR, not because of their performance, but simply because the allotted number of 5s were already filled?
Well, I get where you're coming from with that, and that comes down to leadership. If the person deserves, and first of all, we want to move away from the numbers and look at the word picture, because we're talking about the promote now, must promote, and the promote. And so if an individual is performing, the leadership has to make the hard call. That's the bottom line. So that person can think all day, but I know that I'm a promote now, and I ended up getting a promote. It's performance. Let's go back to the Airman Comprehensive Assessment feedback. Did the feedback take place? Did the individual understand where they were at that period? And then when you go up against your peers, understanding how you really fit into that equation, that commander and the leaders have a hard decision to make. We didn't say this was going to be easy. But when you look at your top performers, and we have organizations, and I will use our Thunderbirds, some of our most elite performers, but not everybody is going to be number 1. There's going to be number 1 through 8 in that organization. And everybody knows that process.
And it's interesting also, something that I'm sure you've had conversations about before. It's interesting, the people asking about, the people who are excited about this change are probably the ones going to be making those number 1 spots, right?
Well, as long as they perform. One of the things about this system is we don't want it to become a good old boy system. And that's what the concern is out there. It's going to be a system of favorites, and it can't be. So we're placing the demand squarely where it belongs on the leadership of the organization. And I keep reiterating that because that is so important. The commanders have to set the tone in their organizations of how this is going to go.
Absolutely. And so we're talking about the EPR system, and we have one more question to get to, if you don't mind, sir, while we're on the EPRs here, because we're just about out of time, so have to start moving towards the end here. But how do we keep this, another Facebook question, how do we keep a healthy balance between being sociable with our coworkers, but yet still competing for those fives that are now limited on the EPR evaluations? Because it seems like it might get cutthroat with the new changes.
It shouldn't be. Just be transparent in the organization. Be who you are on a daily basis. Just because there's going to be a forced distribution, that's no reason for you to step outside and figure, well, I've got to act this way towards my peers or that way because I don't want them to have an inside possibility of outscoring me. That's not what this is designed for. This is really designed for our top performers to be looked at, but overall performance. So it's not, what your social life is going to be like, but what is your performance going to be like? And then that commander, those leaders are going to take into account everything that you do on the job. So your personality plays a big part in it, but we're not asking anybody to be fake. And let's be real here. We're asking people to do their job and to be able to work with their coworkers without any hidden agendas.
Yet another great answer. I'm speaking this morning with the USAFE Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant James Davis, and this is your AFN Open Line. And like I said, we're coming to the end of this morning's AFN Open Line. So, Chief, if you don't mind, I want to kind of go back through, if we can here, just for a second, each of the four topics. And if you had just maybe 20 seconds to tell someone the most important sentence in each of these four areas, what would your last line to them be, I guess, about the Are You Fit program? What's the main thing that you would want people to take away when they hear the words Are You Fit?
Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Take care of those around you. Make sure that you are honest. And I know that's more than one, but you can't just ask me, to give you a one-liner when it comes to that because it encompasses so much. But the bottom line, is Are You Fit? A ready airman equates to a ready mission. And that's what we really want at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and I feel like that's going to be the answer for a couple of these. You can't wrap them up in such a short period of time, but if you could, if you absolutely had to, talking about the new enlisted evaluation system, what is your hope for that? Where do you see this going soon?
I want our airmen, first of all, to go on and embrace this because this program is in effect right now. But at the end of the day, we want to be able to look back in 2014 to say that we introduced a program that did separate our top performers, and we did properly recognize the top performers. And right now, we do not have that area of recognition where we can say number one truly stands out from number 10. And that's where we really want to go with this.
All right, and next on the list, step up, step in. When those words are said, what do you want to go through the minds of the airmen in our communities?
Step up to opportunities, step up to challenges. Take responsibility for what is happening in your personal life, and take responsibility for what is happening around you. Don't be a bystander.
Excellent words there. And, of course, the enlisted PME also changed recently. And I would assume from what you said earlier, opportunity is basically the big word there.
Right. And when it comes to EPME, we're talking about, the world's greatest Air Force. And how do we get there? That's through our professional military education, developing our non-commissioned officers. And that's what we want them to continue to be able to do. When they've made a decision that they don't want to move forward, and then it's time to make another decision that you're not going to be allowed to re-enlist. And I have to be emphatic about that and matter of fact. But people need to understand that that's the bottom line. If you don't want to move forward, you're saying, I'm done with the United States military or the United States Air Force.
All right. Thank you so much for being here this morning. That was your AFN Open Line, and I've been speaking with the USAFE Command Chief. That was Chief Master Sergeant James Davis. Chief, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really do appreciate your time and all the great answers you've given this morning.
Well, thank you. Let me close by saying this. This is an absolute fantastic time to be in our United States Air Force. We're undergoing some major transitions, but it's all for the good of our United States Air Force. When I initially arrived in Europe in 1986, we had an Air Force that was equivalent to about 600,000 personnel. Today we're at 330,000 and dropping. But one thing that has stayed consistent is that we are still the world's greatest Air Force, and we have not missed a beat. So thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure, sir. And once again, thank you for your time. I know you're busy, but it means a lot to us to hear these words coming from you. And it means a lot that these changes are being put into place to make our Air Force a better place to work and live in these communities as well. So thank you for your time this morning, like I said, and have a great day, sir.
Thank you.
Take care. That was your AFN Open Line this morning with the USAFE Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant James Davis. Up next is your local.